Beautiful. Coming on down, and we're going to take a nice roll down if you haven't already. A nice little roll down. You can come down through all fours and come on down to a seat. Bringing the legs out nice and wide into a butterfly position here. And I'm going to offer you two options as we get started today. The first is just to take a little fold forward here, let the head dangle a little bit. And the second one, if you want a little bit of support and you have blocks or something there, you may wish to bring your head down onto blocks or another form of support. Wherever you are, you're going to feel a bit of a stretch out through the back and through the back of the neck. And because with the feet in this butterfly position, you're also feeling a bit of an opening through the hips and through the groin as well. So taking a fold forward and taking a few nice deep breaths in here. Taking one or two more deep breaths here. Beautiful, and slowly rolling on back up. From here, we're going to bring our feet out nice and wide, bring our hands back behind us, and our feet are out nice and wide. We're going to take a little windscreen wiper from side to side here. Beautiful. Taking a little hip opener here. As you take this side to side, your bum might start to move forward a little bit, and that's perfectly normal as well. I'm going to take just a couple more here. Coming back to center, and then from here we're going to bring the legs into a 90-90 position. So bringing one leg forward, the other leg comes back, and we're going to take a fold forward over the front leg. So gradually walk your hands forward. Beautiful. You'll feel a little bit of a stretch through the glute on that front side. Beautiful. So with our wind down, we're going to take lots of nice long holds here today. Beautiful. And from here, slowly start to walk the hands on around and away from the legs. So you come around to the side into a little bit of a funky twist. And if you would like, I'm going to offer you the option to come into a little bit of a mermaid pose. So if you've got a bolster or something like that, you may choose to place that there for a little bit of support. Option to bring the elbows down to the floor as well. So regardless of whether you've got a bolster, you can choose to bring your elbows down and you're opening out into this twist position. So it's a little bit of a hip opener on the other side. So instead of getting into the back of the hip on that front leg, you're getting into the front of the hip on the back leg. And if you've got a bolster or something there, you can actually let your head rest here. You can also use a rolled up towel or a cushion or a pillow as well if you don't have a bolster. Beautiful. Slowly rising back out, walking your hands on back, bring your legs back to center, and the feet are out nice and wide here. Knees are wide, and take that little rock side to side again. That's it. This time we drop the feet over to the other side and coming on into our, you may wish to shuffle around a little bit if that feels good. And then from there, once you shuffle on around, take the hands forward, walk them forward over the front leg for our 90-90 or half pigeon. Or half sleeping swan, depending on what school of thought you come from, whether you're going yin or more active yoga. You can come down to the elbows here as well if you have the space. I know my two sides are a little bit different here, particularly with this pose, and that is absolutely fine as well. And then slowly starting to come on back up, and we turn around, come around into that twist again. So if you've got your bolster or block, you may wish to shuffle that around and take that little twist away. You may choose to bring elbows to the floor if you have the space. Absolutely fine if you don't as well. And slowly starting to rise back up. Use your arms for a little bit of support as you come back up. Bringing the legs around in front and taking the legs out nice and wide here. So we started off with those butterfly legs. This time the legs are pointing out on a big wide diagonal, and we're going to take a little fold forward here. So taking a stretch into the hamstrings and the groin. So walking the hands on forward. Once again, you can use your bolster for a little bit of support for your head if you have one. Otherwise, just take a fold forward here with me. When you're ready, slowly coming on up to a bit of a taller seat here, and bring one leg on in. So keep your body turned to the side slightly. I've brought my right foot into my left leg, or into my left thigh. And from here, we're going to take a little twist up and over. So really opening up here through our hips today. So let's stretch the left arm out towards the left foot. Bring that right arm up over the top, taking a reach out to the side. If that's a bit too much through your shoulder, you can keep hand on your hip if you prefer. And I'm going to offer you an option here. If you have blocks or some other form of support here, you may wish to bring your left elbow onto some form of support, where that might be all the way down to your leg, it might be on a block or cushion, and use that left hand to support your head, and the right hand can come up and over the top, so it's a little bit more of a supported version. And keep those big deep breaths going. Beautiful, and then when you're ready, slowly rising back up. Use support where you need. We're going to transition on to the other side. So taking my right leg out, left leg or left foot comes into the right thigh. So it's exactly the same thing, just on the other side. We turn the body slightly out towards the left leg, and we're going to take that big stretch out of the right arm. So stretching the right arm out towards the right leg. And you've got an option to bring that left arm up and over the top, or you can keep your hand on your hip, depending on what works better for you here. If you want that slightly more supported version, you can take your support onto the right leg and elbow onto right leg or cushion, and bring the left hand up and over. Beautiful. Wherever you are, slowly start to lift back out from there, and placing blocks or supports out of the way. Bring the legs on out again, and we're going to take that little windscreen wiper of the knees here. So easing out any tension through the hips and legs. Beautiful. And coming back to center, stretching the legs out nice and long, maybe shuffling forward just a little bit, and we're going to bring ourselves on down to the mat, all the way down, and taking it into a flowing bridge. So I'm going to take a little windscreen wiper side to side here, and our flowing bridge. Planting the feet in line with your hips, and from here we're going to lift on up. As you inhale, bring the arms on up overhead, and then as you exhale, lower down, lower the arms, lower the hips. So inhale, lifting on up, And exhale, lower down. So if you've got the space, keep the arms straight as they come overhead. If you don't have the space, you can bend the arms a little bit if you need. Inhale, lifting on up. And exhale, bring it on down. Beautiful. Inhale, lifting on up. And then exhale, bring it on down. Let's take a couple more here. So 2 more here. 2. Beautiful. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Bring that into a little windscreen wiper side to side here. Beautiful. Hugging the knees in towards the chest. Beautiful. From here, release the feet down to the floor, dropping the knees over to one side. We take it into a supine twist. Maybe looking out to the opposite side. If you want a little bit more here, you can cross the top leg over the bottom leg. Beautiful, lifting on back up and releasing the cross of the legs if you've crossed them, dropping the knees over to the other side. So taking that supine twist the other direction. And if you wanted to take that option, feel free to cross that top leg over the bottom leg again. Option only. You can take whichever option here works best for you. And coming on back to center, releasing the legs back. Take that little windscreen wiper side to side again. Beautiful. From here, let's take this into a legs up the wall. So a little bit of an inversion here. So I'm going to offer you a couple of different options again, depending on what you have available to you. Legs up the wall is nice and simply just legs up into the sky. So if you don't have any props available, you can just have your legs up in the air like this. It will be a little bit of core engagement to keep them there. If you would like, you can wiggle your bum up against the wall and have your feet literally up the wall like so. Just make sure your spine is straight. Or your third option, if you have a cushion or a block or bolster, you can bring your block or bolster or cushion underneath your hips. And with that underneath your hips, you can bring your legs back up the wall. So third option here on where you hold this pose. Beautiful. So take the option that works best for you here. With your legs up the wall, you may choose to take a little roll out through the ankles. I always find that feels quite nice, particularly if your feet have been in shoes and that kind of thing all day. It can be quite nice to roll out through the ankles, get a little bit of mobility there. From here, wherever you are, you can slowly start to bend the knees and release the feet down to the floor. Now, if you've got your hips elevated on a bolster or something here, you can leave them there. An option to stretch the legs out nice and long. And this is going to take a big stretch through the front of your body if you're keeping your hips elevated. If you've had your legs up the wall, so heels on the wall or just literally legs in the air, releasing them on down, releasing the hips, legs down to the floor. And if you would like to take this hips elevated position, grab a cushion or a pillow or anything you might have, anything sturdy that you might have handy, a towel or something. Pop that underneath your hips. Option to extend the legs out nice and long and stretch into the front of the hips. Otherwise, you can also take this supported bridge pose with your hips elevated and feet on the floor. So 2 options, legs out long or just this bridge position here with the feet on the floor. If you don't have any props, you can also maybe just take a bridge position as well. Lift the hips on up off the floor. Beautiful. Wherever you are, we're going to stay here for about 4 or 5 more breaths. Beautiful. Taking 1 or 2 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, slowly starting to release any props that you may have had underneath your hips. Releasing the hips back down to the floor. Take a little windscreen wiper through the hips and releasing the legs out nice and long for our final pose, Shavasana. Taking a couple of big deep breaths here. And if you do have